Hey friends, wanted to do a quick video this week talking about a topic that is near and dear to my heart as a real estate agent, but it's something a lot of people aren't talking about. How do you keep your first home and then still buy a second one? The reasons are plentiful as to why this is an excellent strategy to continue to build equity for your future. But with rising interest rates, most feel this option is completely impossible. I want to show you today how this can work though, and why I think it is an excellent option to keep your first home and still purchase your next. To kick off, first let's talk about why keeping your first home is a great option. Reason number one, keeping your first home will make it a valuable rental with potential instant cash flow. Odds are your first home came with a super low interest rate if you purchased a few years back. Your stupidly low payment makes it ideal to create instant cash flow if you decide to rent it. You could potentially make $400, $600, $800 or more in excess of what you're paying for your mortgage right now. That's a super safe situation for a rental property and why you shouldn't let go of it. Plus, any income you're producing can offset the cost of your new mortgage. For instance, let's say you buy a $475,000 property with 5% down today. You're gonna have close to a $3,660 a month mortgage payment, and that's including some estimated taxes and insurance. But if you're making $600 a month on your rental after you cover your expenses, then now you're technically only paying $3,000 a month for that new mortgage. Reason number two. Keeping your home is an incredible equity building tool. You're probably already sitting on about $100,000 of equity if you purchased between 3 to 5 years ago. Now, you could easily dump all of that into your future home, or you could let someone else continue to build that equity for you. When you rent out your first home, you're probably going to be covering most, if not all, of your costs that you have in a mortgage payment, meaning you technically don't have a mortgage payment. And yet it's still your property. So the value will continue to increase and you are the one that benefits from the equity. Reason number three, equity can be flexible when you need it. Let's say you have an HVAC issue come up on your rental property, but you don't have the cash to fix it. A HELOC or a home equity line of credit can easily cover that cost for you. And then you pay it off quickly with the rental proceeds. Or let's say your new home needs a kitchen renovation. You can borrow from the equity on your first home to cover that cost with a low fixed interest loan called a home equity loan. Equity lines can even be used to cover the down payment and closing costs of the new home. Now let's talk about how to actually pull this off. Step one, prepare for renting. You may think this should come later, but actually it's super important to get this rolling first thing. Talk to a property manager. Ask them questions about updates that might help it rent for more. Get an idea of what it will rent for, and then start to prep. I would highly recommend hiring a property manager, even if it's only one property. They are absolutely invaluable in helping you maximize your rent potential and make sure there are no lapses in getting renters. A super important qualification for most folks to make owning two properties possible is to ensure you get a lease on your first property. If you don't have a lease set up prior to closing on your new home, then you'll have to qualify for two mortgages simultaneously. And that's really not possible for most. You don't have to have the renter in the home prior to closing on your new home. You just have to have a valid lease agreement that proves it's going to happen soon. So starting here will ensure you are ready. Step two, talk with a mortgage lender. Once you've got an idea of what your property can rent for, take the next step and start to work out the numbers with a trusted lender. They can help you accurately estimate the costs, factor in the lease of your first home, and help you navigate whether you need to pull out equity in order to cover the cost of your new purchase. Step three, shop for the new home. Harness the power of a trusted realtor to help keep all of your goals in focus and help you snag an excellent deal. Contract on the home, but try to give yourself enough time. You'll need time to navigate inspections, negotiate repairs if needed, and then also to get your first home ready to rent. Once you feel confident about the new home purchase, we can move to the next step. Step four, get your home leased and then head to closing. Prior to closing, you'll want to be sure you have a lease established. Your lender can use this to justify a lower debt-to-income ratio. They typically use a ratio of reducing your debt by 75% of the agreed-upon rent price. So if you're renting your first home for $2,000, then they can reduce your debt-to-income by $1,500, which is 75% of that. For some, that may cover your complete monthly costs on the first home. That means that debt completely disappears from your qualification when you're getting approved for your new home. You may only be able to pull this off if you borrow on your equity from your first home in order to cover your down payment and closing costs. but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Home equity loans often have very affordable, low fixed rates. And remember, you may be cash flowing on your first property already. So it may cost something additional to borrow that money, but then you're gonna offset it with your rental producing income. Step 5, sit back and enjoy. Owning a new home significantly increases the amount of equity you're building. Specifically, when one of those equity sources pays for itself, you could massively increase your net worth and still get into the home that you may want to stay in for years to come. I'll save the rest of this conversation for another episode, but as a quick teaser, your equity as it snowballs and builds can help you buy more rental properties in the future too. Best case scenario, rates come down, you refinance your new property, and you pull out a new equity line from both properties to use to purchase another home. As long as someone is renting the home and covering your costs, it's free to you, and yet you are the one that benefits from all of that new equity. It is absolutely feasible, friends, even with the high interest rates currently. It may even make it a more ideal time because you can snag a deal on a home right now. Equity is the true wealth builder, so don't let interest rates or low inventory scare you out of getting into the game. I hope you can see now that holding on to your first home and still being able to purchase your second home is totally possible. Thanks for watching today, guys. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, please like, subscribe, and share. And be sure to check out the rest of my channel for practical real estate advice and education. We'll see you in the next video.